I love printing. I love printing. I love it. I love printing. Hey, everybody. Want to welcome you back to another session of Printer to Printer with me, Warren Werbitt, your printer, also known as the Print Whisper. Notice the logo. Check out the merch site. But today we're sitting with a very distinguished guest, although all my guests are distinguished. Today we have Dave Rosendahl from MindFire. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. What I'm not going to do is ask Dave to tell us a little bit about himself, because I think most people know him already. And the real reason that I asked him to come on the Printer to Printer show, even though he's not a printer, is he's probably one person who talks to more printers than I do. And I thought it'd be a good idea for us, the printers, to hear from him and me some of the things that he's noticed, that he's seen that we're doing or we're not doing, that maybe we could do or do better, because the world is a little bit upside down right now. I've known Dave now, I'm going to go back. I won't tell you how long, because that's going to put a date on me, but I did have hair back then when I met him. And I know Dave's been working really hard with the likes of us, always to push, always to promote. So on that note, I would just say to you, Dave, what's going on today that you hear from the printer?
Well, Warren, I mean, overall, as I think you know, and listeners or viewers are probably experiencing, it's tough in many regards right now. Paper, envelopes, staffing, all of those things are kind of piling up right now and creating a lot of difficulty for the printers that we work with, certainly. But that said, and similar to what we were talking about before we even started recording here, was that that's causing a lot of activity and a lot of excitement and energy, and some of it good, some of it bad for the print community. But I have to tell you that with only some exception, the printers that we're working with right now are fairly busy. And the work that they're doing, the work that's coming to them, is in many cases exceeding what they did last year and exceeding the year before that. Now, certainly that's not everyone, not all printers across the board, but by and large, there's a lot of activity going on, and the printers that are actually doing a lot of work right now are certainly growing revenues over last year, and are doing it by being creative and by thinking differently than they have in the past. So at a very high level, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, so I would kind of agree with you. The people that I've been talking to are very busy. I don't know for sure how busy they are in terms of sheets passing through the press, because paper is a big issue. But there's certainly a lot of activity in the phone calls they're getting, the requests for quotes. Don't really know if it's because other people are now calling them because they can't get over there, right? Like it'd be good if we could figure out and dust everything aside to see what the real metrics of everything are. But yeah, generally the same thing. But I'm when I say what are printers doing, I don't mean with the paper, because that's across the board for everybody. What are they doing in terms of dealing with the customer and selling? A lot of people, I thought before the pandemic, a lot of people were doing the web to print, doing the direct multi-channel marketing. There's a lot of people that weren't and try to figure it out. I think some tried to figure it out through the pandemic. Others did not. Now we are here, and for argument's sake, we'll say the pandemic is over. I would say any new variant is really just the flu. So I don't worry about it. And I shoot people down who talk about increasing cases, but end of COVID. But are people stepping up to multi-channel now? Are they trying it more often? Are the people that were doing it before doing better? Are they succeeding? What are the results, right? Like, and I'm not even talking profit. I'm more interested in the activity that people have reaching potential customers, because if you have the activity, the sales will come eventually.
Yeah, it's that there. I mean, there's a lot there in your question. So let me try to tease apart each of the parts. Yeah. So
by the way, you and I. Sorry, you could break it down or not. Like, that's why in English class, everything I did was bad. It was like just one run-on sentence, you know?
Yeah. No, I got you. So, you and I we saw each other, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago at the Do Scoop event in Denver. And that was actually my first opportunity at a trade show back in real life again.
Me too.
Presenting, yeah, and exhibiting. I'd been to one other earlier in the year, but I would say that what we're seeing is, and this is not true for every printer, but a realization for many of these folks that, and we've talked about this for so many years, but that they're in the communications business, not the print business, and that kind of understanding and that kind of awareness means that they're doing two things, broadly speaking. First of all, they're realizing that in order to reach their customers, in order to reach their prospects, the people that they want to be selling to, that what used to work 5 years ago, what used to work 10 years ago, just isn't relevant anymore in terms of how they go to market, and how they sell. So there's an awakening there. And fortunately, that's good for us because a lot of that happens to be kind of the omni-channel digital movement that they start to say, actually, this is now making sense to me. I need to look into this more. That's one thing that we see. The other thing is that when they realize that they're in the communications business, or to put it another way, when they realize that, look, I'm not just manufacturing print, but I'm helping the CMO, the VP of marketing, the marketing folks, the sales teams on those at the customer location, grow brand, drive leads, generate sales. That's really what I'm all about, what we're doing as a print company. When they come to that understanding and really embrace that, then they start to see, okay, so for example, if I'm doing direct mail for a customer, there's a lot more that I could be doing that incorporates some of the digital, social, LinkedIn, Facebook, other channels that are going to make that campaign more successful for their customer and make the print more valuable in the eyes of their customer as well. So broadly speaking, Warren, those are two things that we're seeing more and more of. We've been in the industry for quite some time, and certainly I've been doing this for a number of years. And I can tell you that where we are now compared to where we were even 5 years ago in terms of printers kind of seeing that, I think the pandemic kind of helped accelerate the awareness that many folks have that these two things, how we go to market ourselves as print companies, and forgive me, print friends, when you hear me say this, and Warren, I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, but printers historically are not good at marketing themselves.
Oh my God, they're shit.
Right? Yeah. And so more and more, though, are saying, yeah, we know we're crappy. We know we need to do something, and we know what used to work just doesn't work anymore, A. And B, we need to help our customers achieve their marketing objectives, not just produce print. So does that answer your question, kind of broadly speaking? What we're saying?
I can't even talk, but yes, it answers the question. Because when during the pandemic, I was like, wow, if the print owner was not looking at any of this marketing opportunities, channels before, he was in trouble. In the pandemic, you're in more trouble because you want to learn this now, new, when everybody's in a state of anxiety and craziness. Yeah. It's beyond me. I used to say, I said not long ago to a printer, I said, the easiest thing you could be doing and you should have been doing is you do direct mail, you do the whole email Pearl deal. I said, have you ever done a full campaign for yourself? Oh, we don't have time. No. I said, buddy, I said, you're an idiot. And people, no, I'll tell you why. I said, because you do all the stuff. I said, the easiest thing that you could do for yourself is you put together a 6 to 12 month campaign. You build your list from your customers, you buy a list, or you go out and you get a mail list from United States Postal Office and you do 1 mile radius of your business, just 6 to 12 months, a message every month, a postcard, personalized, a mail. You use different things, some months more expensive, some months cheaper. I said, automatically, just because we know statistics, you're going to generate so many potential openings. From the openings, you're going to generate so many potential customers. And then automatically, you're going to have incremental increases in your revenue. I said, and if you're telling me that you don't have the time or it's too expensive, I want you to tell me how many dumbass salespeople that you're employing that sit here that don't even call 20 people in a year.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because everybody's got it backwards. You could be using these tools as a salesperson and then having your salespeople, the ones that are capable of speaking, do the follow-ups and then pick up accounts. And I look at them, and I don't claim to be a genius or anything, but as an owner with money on the line, a 90-cent mailing, a $2 mailing is cheaper than a salesperson going to make a call. I think 10 years ago, the cost of a sales call was like $982 when you factored in everything the company put into them. So you could spend the $982 and go try to make an appointment today, or you could do the mailing and keep bombarding them. Maybe not bombarding is the right word, but informing them every month, changing it up, finding new people, connecting on LinkedIn. And then you now have some communication going. They know you're consistent. They know you follow up. And how many people don't do that or have tried it?
You know, many don't. And I think the other thing that's almost sinful right now is that, you know, compared to, let's say, even just 5 years ago, or certainly 10 years ago, the amount of information or the ease of accessing information that I can have about you or about other people that I want to be interacting with, or that a print sales rep has about their potential customers, the ability for us to extract that information and find meaningful insights and reach them in different places, for example, LinkedIn, which I know you and I are pretty active on, the fact that we don't use that, or a print sales rep doesn't use the technology and the methods of communication that are available here and now, is sinful, because it has never been easier to reach our customers and our prospects than it is now. Certainly it's not easy. There's a lot of noise out there, but the ability for us to learn about our prospects and our customers and really understand who they are before we pick up that phone or before we go out and see them. If you're not doing that, man, what a waste.
Listen, this is the funny thing. Everybody does that before they buy something. Everyone does that before they book a trip. Everyone goes to Seat Guru before they book their ticket to make sure that they're getting a decent seat on the plane, right? The food they shop, the concert tickets on Live Nation. Like, we all do it every day. A phone, a music, Spotify. We're using all the tools. Why do people get into the office and then get stupid? And then I have a better one, and it's going to offend some owners. Why are there so many stupid owners out there that don't enforce this stuff and let people run their companies for them? I mean, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do as the Print Whisperer. I want to help coach and mentor some of these owners that really don't know what to do, because I find it very frustrating when I talk to them and they own the company. They own the debt, the liability. When there's profit, they own that too. But as an owner, we endure so much that we should be in control. We should have we should take the power, or we should be authorizing ourselves. Wrong word, actually, but whatever the word is, empowering ourselves.
Empowering,
and feeling and having the confidence to lead our companies. Right. How many companies are you in? Sorry, how many companies are you in that you see that the owner's there and talks, but the people below push the stuff? It always needs to come from the top.
I totally agree. And I think that not only is it, you know, a bad thing when the owner or the print sales team or whoever it is in the print company is not, like you said, going and doing this research and taking advantage of the technology that we now have. But also the other side of that is that places like LinkedIn, places like TikTok, as an example, are hungry for content. And if a print sales rep is sitting here thinking or listening to us or watching us saying, hey, TikTok really isn't that dancing kids and monkeys and, you know, babies and stuff like that. It certainly started that way, but, you know, these social platforms evolve, and TikTok is an especially hungry place right now, as is LinkedIn, for content that, you know, a lot of print companies have access to. And I know from firsthand experience, you know, showing your presses, showing them running, showing your inserters, showing your shop floor, talking about print.
I just want to add, if anyone's going to do any of the showing, be smart enough to clean up the shop and make sure that it's nice and looks good. Because I've seen too many people put stuff out there that's not a good representation of who they are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely.
sorry, but
No, you're right. You're right. And I know when I talk about TikTok, especially, people are often calling BS on me and saying, hey, that can't be true. Really, TikTok? And obviously, if you're not watching the video, you won't be able to see this. But I want to give everybody an example, and he doesn't know I'm doing this. But this gentleman's name here, I don't know if you can see that there in the camera, but this is Adam Peake. Yeah, Adam Peake. If you look him up on TikTok, he's the packaging pastor. So he talks about packaging, right? So an aspect or an element of print. And he's got 12,000 followers, 146,000 likes as of right now that we're recording this. And folks, all he does, listen up, he takes his cell phone, like all of you have in your hands right now, and talks about the packaging that he's seeing around him. So he's walking on Costco, he's walking in the supermarket, he's doing everyday life things that you and I do every single day, recording it on his iPhone, and giving a little bit of narrative on top of that and putting it into TikTok. What happens is the magic of these platforms, and again, why I say this is so sinful, is that these platforms are hungry for content, and their algorithms are going to figure out who is hungry for your content. And right now, there's a deficit of content in those platforms. Right. So as a print company owner, as a print sales executive, if you're not creating these little snackable bits of content and pushing them out into these places that are hungry for your content, man, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Go ahead.
No. I love TikTok. Like, I'm going to tell you, before I go to bed at night for 5, 10, 15 minutes, sometimes it turns into an hour.
2 hours.
I'm in bed on TikTok and I'm cracking up. I'm watching some business to business stuff. I'm watching the pranks. I'm watching fish and shit. I mean, Instagram, I'm looking at, not as much because I'm just tired of looking at people, but a lot of fish stuff I look at. But you know what? You're 100% right. And soon you'll see the Print Whisper on TikTok. But
there we go. Let's go, Print Whisper.
If we take it down because we don't want to scare some people and intimidate them with that stuff, let's just talk about LinkedIn, right? I'm on LinkedIn and I go look up somebody and I go to their contact information and they don't even have their phone number.
Sinful.
There's no more secrets anymore about finding information on people. So me being me with a little ADHD, if I'm looking for you and I go to LinkedIn and I can't find your phone number, I'm never coming back.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah, it's interesting there to that point, and I can't mention the name, but it's a
Yes,
OEM that all of you would recognize. No, I can't.
Whisper in my ear.
Okay. But they have around 1,000 sales reps, and we're working with that team, those 1,000 sales reps and their sales managers, to help them do exactly what we're talking about. Even large organizations, men and women who are listening to us or watching us right now, even the large organizations are realizing that what Warren and I are talking about right now is something that you have to do. It's not just something that is a nice to have or a nice to do. This is what it costs to do business these days. It's table stakes. And the good news is that it's easy. Anyone can do it. The good news is that not a lot of your competition are doing it right now. But you have to know how to do it. And so, Warren, going back to your original question as to what we're seeing right now, I think, first of all, we're seeing an awareness and an awakening, just even an openness to understanding that, you know what, there's a new way of doing things that we have to adapt to. I think, again, COVID kind of helped, as odd as it sounds.
Oh, no.
COVID, right?
I personally look at COVID as a good thing. Right?
Yeah, I know it sounds horrible to say. And
I look at it as a reset. I think we were moving too fast to begin with. We were at warp speed. I mentioned that I spent 3 weeks with my son in lockdown, who's 23, who I now know who he is. He knows who I am. We had the most insane conversations of at all levels, which never would have happened if it wasn't for COVID. And on a business side, I think for those that were ahead, they were doing okay during it because they were set up. Referring to our industry. And for those that were a little behind or very behind, it forced them to pole vault into a position that they should have done before.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think on that end, it's great.
Warren, one more thing on that with COVID, and I think this may be cliche at this point, but let me think.
All cliches are true.
Yeah, I have a bunch of mail pieces here behind me that I'll grab in a second, but with COVID and the fact that this touchless kind of 6-foot social distancing thing became so important, you've probably seen this. QR codes have become a huge aspect of what we're seeing going through our platform, as an example, as people embed QR codes, not only on things like menus and signs and billboards and yard signs, things like that, but also personalized QR codes, hundreds of thousands, tens of millions on direct mail.
I'm just grabbing one thing here, but yeah.
Go grab one. Yeah. You have an example there?
I was going to say QR code. So I just was at the Print UV conference, and I would encourage everyone next April 25th to go in Vegas. But when I was there and I made a little card to put on everyone's seat, was just a little card. So here I have the QR code that takes you to my website, theprintwhisperer.com, everybody listening. Over here, the QR code takes you to I Love Print video on my YouTube channel. Right.
Yep.
And this QR code over here takes you to the merch site, because everybody wants one of my cozy sweatshirts and hats. I remember it must have been, I'm going to say 2000. Let me think. 2012, 13, 14. I forget when the QR code started in North America. I met with Dr. QR Code, if you remember him from back then.
Yes.
And I went to a meeting in LA and all the QR codes, and I came back, and I think I was one of the first people in Canada talking about the QR codes, and I did a mailer, and I thought this was going to be the greatest thing, because all over Japan and Europe, they were everywhere, and nothing here. And all of a sudden, as we were saying, COVID, I got 3 QR codes. Who am I?
Yep. Warren, it's super interesting in that, though. We do a lot of webinars, live events online, Facebook, LinkedIn, other places. And one of the common questions that I ask the audience almost every single time is, because I show a QR code on the screen so they can connect with me on LinkedIn. And I always ask the audience, pull out your phone, open up your camera, and just point it at that QR code. And I can't tell you how many print company executives still do not know that the QR code reader is embedded in most camera apps. Most modern phones, you don't need to go download any app like you used to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever it was you're referring to. That was the friction point for consumers. That's gone now.
At the last conference, I was asking the crowd, the audience, I said, is everybody aware of NFC? And half the room was like, huh? What?
Yeah.
I said, yeah.
NFL?
I said, yeah. And no, somebody said NFTs. I said, no, those are passe.
Well, that's good.
I said, those are passe also. But I said, NFC, I said, it's in your phone. I said, every time you tap your credit card.
Yep.
All people just know to tap. They don't know really or follow any of the other stuff. Yep. But it's all there. And actually, you know what? In our industry, I would tell a lot of people in our industry is talk to your kids. See what they're tapping on. Right? Yeah. See what they're tapping on. See what they're clicking.
Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about the kids thing for a second, since you brought that up. I think that's a very powerful technique. I have how many kids do I have, Warren? I've lost track.
You got 4, and I'm walking.
4, okay.
I know what you have, because every time I see your kids, I sit there and I go, oh my God, he's got 4 kids. Then they're all like under 10 or around.
Yeah, they're all under 10. Yeah, it's really all glory to my wife there. She's the one doing that. But anyhow, the point of what I was getting on
you had no say in it, eh?
No, nothing. Yes, watch your kids. And I think if you have kids, you're probably nodding your head right now as you listen or watch us talk here. What I'm noticing in our kids and how it's influencing our product roadmap, which you might think is interesting, is I'm noticing voice as a channel, as a mechanism that kids are becoming accustomed to employing. So if I watch my kids interact with, and I don't know if I can say her name right now because she might wake up here on my desk, but Alexa or Google or any of these other voice-enabled devices, one of the things that we're investing in is voice enabling your direct mail. So if you're a printer, as an example, and you're doing direct mail for a financial services company, one of the call to actions on there, you could scan the QR code. Yes, you could go to your Pearl. Yes, you could call the trackable 800 number, or you could ask Alexa to tell you more. And so those kinds of things, if you watch your kids, you can get ahead of the technology curve. And as printers, especially, you're in the communications business. You're responsible for helping your customers reach their prospects and their customers in the places where those consumers are most comfortable right now. You got to be looking at things like that.
Oh, listen, you got to watch your kids, and you gotta use Urban Dictionary to understand what they're saying after.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the kids don't know Webster's, and they certainly don't know what a thesaurus is, right?
No.
But
Yep.
it's really like I mean, I love our industry. I think it's great. I think the opportunity out there is still second to none. I don't care what other people say. I watch my friends how they interact with print, even though they think print is dead.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, we're sitting here, we're laughing. So I was telling you before, because I was having computer issues. So I just bought a new computer, and I bought all the stuff, and I threw out all the boxes. And I love UV so much that I kept the box for the microphone. Nice matte.
Look at that.
Nice matte black, beautiful spot UV. If you open up the box,
Warren, just pause right there. This is, if you going back to the packaging pastor, Adam Peake on TikTok. This is a perfect TikTokable video, right? 30 seconds. You pull out that sexy box that you just showed me, record whatever you were about to just say, post it on TikTok.
Right. And why do I have it? Love the spot UV. It's so nice. I don't keep boxes, and I have no room for it, but I cannot for the life of me throw it out. So what do I do every day? I move it around the room where I am not.
Yeah, I wish you could see my office. I have the same here. Absolutely.
Oh, if I go back here and I remove the curtain, it's just all filled with.
Yeah, we're nerds. I love it, man. I love it.
It's just it doesn't matter where I go. It's any texture, any. There was an event. I know, I forget who the event was. It was I can't even read without my glasses. But they even send me these little rubber coasters. Looks like a record, screened. Drinks don't move. Everything has a print, right? Everything.
Yes.
So it's just print. It's great. This is what I have to say. Without print, the world doesn't move.
Right.
Period. And anyone who thinks
somebody was telling me about this idea of strapping a camera to their head and for 27 hours walking throughout their life, throughout the world, and just pointing out all of the places that print intersects daily life. Right?
It's coming everywhere. Listen, you wake up in the morning, like I said, your clock is silk screen. You go into the bathroom, everything's printed. The kitchen, you get into your car, there's printing in the car. It doesn't matter where you go, right? How to do this, or warning to stay away. It's great. It's you know what? Never ending. And I just hope that people listen to this video, podcast, interview, call it whatever you want, because I think this is really the grassroots and the basic guts of what needs to be done. Just do it.
Warren, let me ask you this. Let me turn the tables on you. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So I know when I talk about TikTok, I know when I talk about LinkedIn, especially for printers, there's a group who say, bull, I don't believe you. I don't believe that I or we can find customers and prospects on, let's just even say LinkedIn, which more people are probably familiar with than TikTok. Let me ask you, since I know you're on LinkedIn, what has LinkedIn done for you?
First of all, thank you for the question. That is a great question. So I think I love LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to tell you why I love LinkedIn.
Why? Yeah.
For one, it's my online resume of who I am. I don't have to forget what I did. I could always go there and see what I wrote. But no, more importantly, it gives me a persona. It makes me a somebody, be it for my friends, family, or my clients, or vendors, or potential future business partners, or with dealings, right? So when I started using LinkedIn, way back when, I can't even remember. I will tell you that I've been paying for LinkedIn for 8 years now. From the beginning, I signed up. Why? Because I get to see more stuff.
Yes.
Right. One of the things I used to do was, if I saw people viewed me, I called them.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Hey,
how did that work for you? Tell me, how did that work for you when you did that?"
I used to say, "Hey, I see you're stalking me." I mean, you got to make a joke about everything. And how did it work? Well, I had a few people who basically hung up on me, but I determined that those people were morons. right off the bat. There's other people that I called and had great conversations with that went on, and I've picked up business. A few years ago, I picked up a $70,000 order from a person because I called them. And he was like, whoa. And I didn't get it right away. We had, we had to do the dance and the date a little, but he was like, thank you for reaching out to me. And I knew a little bit about his company, and from his contacts, I was able to say, hey, we have a few people in common. I wouldn't go and say friends, because I don't know, I have 9,000 followers. I know I'm not friends with all of them. Then I've had people thanking me for what I'm posting. The interaction that I've had with people has been off the charts. I've had people reach out to me with different business opportunities, not for me to sell them, for them calling me, for me to partner with them, or maybe rep them, or what do I think about that? All of a sudden, people are asking me my opinion. I mean, at home, no one ever asks my opinion. So I think LinkedIn, for nothing else, just lets you be somebody. And for anyone who says it doesn't work, you should probably be working in a morgue or something, because you're an idiot. Right?
All right.
Everywhere we go, it's all about this. Instagram is business. Instagram is business. Like all I say is, we all see it. Others are doing it. It has to mean something at the very least. And at the very least, you should be on it to have a presence, so that you take up some space and you exist.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody listening, to you say that, Warren, and they're like, the light bulb just went off, and they're saying, you know what, maybe Warren's right. Maybe Dave's right about this thing. Maybe I do need to take a leap, but they're like, where do I start? How do I even begin to figure out what I should be doing? What's your advice for somebody in that position?
Call me. I'll have a conversation with every person. But okay, if you're not going to call me because you don't want to call me, that's okay. But you should call me. Really, what I would say is, there's a few people out there. You could put their name. You could write, how do you work LinkedIn? Simply. YouTube, you can say, how do you work LinkedIn? The bottom line is, LinkedIn, like any of the other sites you're on, you want to fill out your information to be maximized, right?
Okay.
The more information you have on there, the more people know about you and who you are. You absolutely want a picture to see your face, because anyone who doesn't put a picture, like a dating app, swipe to the left. Your connections. If you have no connections, people don't think you know anything. If you have more connections, people see. I like to endorse people. I like to write recommendations for some people that warrant it. People look at the recommendations. People look at who you follow. People just want to know who you are. For me, even my title always said founder and fisherman. And some people would look at me and go, eh? And I go, yeah, eh. The real deal is, I wanted people to know that I'm a human being. I'll tell you one story with the title on the business card. I get an appointment with a pretty large company with the CEO. Just as the initial introduction, I do not get intimidated as a rule by anybody. But I walked into his office. I felt like Fred Flintstone in front of Mr. Slate. I'm in front of his desk, which, for those of you who don't know, that was the Flintstones. His desk was like huge. I sit down in his desk and I'm like this, and then he says something to me and I go, hi, and my voice cracked. And I'm thinking, I feel the sweat coming off my head. Anyways, I hand him the card and he looks at it and he goes, founder and fisherman. He goes, do you mean flounder? And I said, you can call me. I said, you could call me whatever you want, as long as you call me. Right. And he said, so you really like fishing? And I said, yeah. And before that, he said to me, you have 15 minutes. And then he said to me, oh, you really like fishing? And I said, yeah. He flipped his monitor around. And guess what? He just came back from a salmon trip out west. We spent 47 minutes, because I was watching, talking about fishing. Then I picked up he likes skiing, because I looked around the room and saw what other stuff to connect with. And then he called in at the end, 2 senior VPs in marketing.
Yep.
I ended up doing business with one for a little while.
Yep.
But big or small is not the point. The point is, I went in. He will never, ever forget me. He doesn't even have to like me, but he will never forget me.
Absolutely.
The other people will not forget me.
So Warren, to that point, if somebody's hearing you, and I just want to encourage anybody who's listening right now, because I know what we're talking about, where I'm saying, some print companies are doing exceptionally well. I know there's others of you who are struggling, that times are tough, and you're trying to figure out what should I do. When we talk about something like LinkedIn, for example, as being one of the mechanisms for modern selling, modern prospecting, there's definitely a framework. There's definitely a practice that you should apply. Warren just mentioned some of the things that I think you really should be thinking about. When we train enterprise sales teams, when we train like the OEM that I mentioned earlier, there's a system for working it. Just like anything in life, you have to learn how to use it. And so that would be my first piece of encouragement to you.
But it's not hard.
Learn how to use it.
It's the easiest.
It is easy.
I don't even know. It was harder to set up Facebook with everything than it was LinkedIn for me.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. The other thing, Warren, to your point about the fishermen. So one of the things that you reminded me of there that we teach in our social selling courses to our clients and to the industry, that's actually a very specific technique. We call it the orthogonal 5 or the top 5 model, which is simply this, that all of us have passions, have hobbies, have interests. And so if you can imagine those interests as kind of like vertical bars on a graph or on a chart, if you can imagine coming up with what your top 5 interests or passions are, it could even just be one. Let's say it's fishing. At the intersection of fishing and whatever product or service it is that you sell, that you market, that your business makes, at the intersection of that is an unlimited amount of content that you're going to be able to create that is going to reach a part of the market in a way that's going to move them. Just like you talked about with the CEO that you met, right? At the intersection of print and this interest in fishing was that CEO who resonated with you, who connected with you because of that. And so for many people, they say, okay, I need to get on LinkedIn. I understand what you're saying, Dave and Warren, but what am I going to publish? What am I going to talk about? That's like the big stumbling block for most people.
You know what? What are you going to talk about? What do I talk about? Because I always like to talk about the I preference and my own experiences. I don't like to talk what other people are doing because I don't really know. It's not my experience. My experience is I post things that I think are important and relative to our industry. I post things that I believe are relative to people in life and could add some value. I don't use LinkedIn as like I do Facebook. The odd time I might post the funny thing because I still think people are a little uptight today, need to learn to relax and laugh a little more.
Yes, sure.
I post what I'm up to, a project I might have done. Right. And it just keeps going. And then I'm seeing people that like it. Then I'm seeing people that comment on it. I want to go back. I want to go back to the title for a minute. When I did the title, where I saw that about 15 years ago in a fishing magazine that I picked up. And on the editor page, it said he signed off editor and angler. That's where I got the idea. It's not because I'm a genius, but I take the best ideas that I find. And then what I did was I thought one level above, and I thought, you know what? I'm doing this not just for me, and I'm doing this not just for the salesperson. I went and made every single person at the time in the company a card. Everybody.
In your print company? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Everybody.
Okay.
The shipper, the bindery person, the pressman, everybody got a card that time and they didn't have email. They just had a company card with the phone number, the address, and the title. You know how proud people are when they have a card and a title and it makes them feel part of the club that you've thought of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yep.
But it doesn't cost the print company anything to invest in business cards for every single person, because my other thought was this: everyone in print is friends with people in print. When they tell people how happy they are where they're working, how cool it is, how innovative it is, guess what's happening? You're getting other people call you from other places. And that's not poaching. Anyway, that's a whole other thing.
That's another story. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just looked at the clock, and I have nothing to do this afternoon, but I'm sure you have a lot of stuff to do. And I thought what we'll do is we'll cut it here, because between me and you, we can go like a 24-hour marathon on print.
We should try that someday. Let's go. Let's have the world's longest LinkedIn live. You want to shoot for that?
dude, yes. Yes, let's do something. Yes.
Get in the Guinness book.
Well, and we know there's no category there yet.
Yeah.
Right. I think TikTok, you could only go 5 minutes and then they cut you off on the video. But anyways, it's all good. So, wow, this conversation, thank you. This is exactly the conversation that I wanted for people to hear, because there's a lot of people who know stuff. There's a lot of people who don't do stuff. There's a lot of people who don't do the whole mixed bag. But if we could encourage more people to try, right? And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm just going to say, if anybody wants, reach out to me, reach out to Dave. You can get us on LinkedIn. You can get us on Facebook. You can get me on Instagram. You can get me anywhere. Find me. I'm pretty easy. And we're happy to have conversations. And if we could help you in any way, we'd be happy to help you, because I think other than me, Dave could be the other guy who's equal to wanting to watch companies and people survive, succeed, and strive to be the best that they can. So
yeah, absolutely, Warren. You know, I think for me, probably the biggest change for me, not to go off on a tangent here, over the last, let's say, 5 years or so, has been reaching a point in my life and in my career and with our business, with MindFire, where I am able now to spend the majority of my time just helping people, helping companies. And when you're able to put out that kind of good juju, let's say, into the world, gosh, what amazing things follow from a business perspective, where, like you're saying, you know, you're not having to sell. Yeah. And so anybody who's listening to this, I can assure you that if you reach out to Warren, he will help you. And I can assure you that if you reach out to me, I will help you. We will help you. And if you're struggling and you need help, or if you're doing well and want to look around the corner and say, what else should I be thinking about? From the vantage point that Warren has, from the vantage point that I have, we're looking at it across thousands, hundreds of print companies and organizations like yours. Maybe, just maybe we can give you something that's going to turn on some new revenue opportunities and growth for you. So happy to talk to anybody listening or watching this.
Oh, by the way, thank you. And the other thing I'm going to add to that, and then we're going to really stop because I just keep thinking of more stuff. Makes me feel really good when I know that I could help someone, or someone calls and I can give them something and they say, thank you. I mean, I just had a customer who I was working with, and then he called me and he just said, listen, I can't work with you anymore because I can't afford the bill. And I thought that I charged so much. His business was really bad. I said to him, I get it. I've been there. I said, so don't pay me, but I'm not leaving you. I don't believe that I could walk away from a person who's having some trouble and down. I get off more on helping people succeed. I don't know where it came from, because I can't say that I was always like that. Maybe I got beat up enough. Maybe I've seen enough. Maybe I feel I have third-degree burns. And if I could help somebody else in any way prevent it, then that's what I'm going to do. Right. Yep. Same thing happened just this week to us as well. You know, when an account called, one of our team members said, hey, we have to cancel. And I immediately texted the chief operating officer there, who I have a relationship with. I said, dude, I don't know what's going on, but if I can help, let me know. Even if we part ways officially, I'm not going away. I'm still going to be here to help you no matter what. We have a friendship. We have a relationship. So it's all good. And you know what? Even in those cases where they do end up canceling or not being able to pay, like you're saying, they're going to remember that. They're going to be back. So 100% agree with that philosophy, man. The last thing I'll say to that is I did it not even for them. I did it because I have to live with myself, and it makes me feel good. Yep. Knowing that, because I also believe what goes around and comes around. After COVID,
it's selfish. It is selfish in that way. It is for us. It's for us to be able to feel like we're doing a good thing.
Yeah. And the whole COVID thing has just put me through a whole paradigm shift in how I think. And
good for you, man.
Good, bad, or different. I don't say. It's just what I'm doing and how I want to do it. Anyways, Amen. We're going to stop on that note, because as you see, we can keep going and it keeps growing and we keep smiling, getting more excited. So Dave, I do say thank you. To everybody else out there, I sure hope you made it to the end. I sure hope you listened. If you made it this far, please, when it's posted, share it. You'll find it wherever you want. Look me up, look Dave up, you'll find it, and just share it, because it's really good information. It's free, it's enlightening, and guaranteed it's going to help somebody. Other than that, I just say thank you for tuning in. Warren Werbitt, the print whisperer, for what they think. And nobody loves print more than me and maybe Dave. That's it.
There we go. Thanks, everybody.